Okay, so a computer is an electronic device that can follow a set of instructions given by either software or us to input, process, store and output data. Yeah, so there are many different types of computers. The most common is the desktop computer. That's the basic computer we have at home, which is made up of a keyboard, mouse, a monitor and a system in it. Then we have laptops. These are portable computers. They are about the size or a bit bigger than an A4 paper and much heavier. And now we have even thinner computers called ultrabooks. Okay, so they are very thin. They are like A4 papers and they are really thin. Now also we have tablet computers. These don't have keyboards. They have a touch display, so the typing can all be done by that typing. And also there are special computers like embedded computers. They are made for a special function. Like in the supermarkets, at the checkout desk, you see a computer. You can't actually use that to play games or watch videos. You can only use that to calculate stuff and make the bill for you. And what else? We have PDAs, which are personal digital assistants. We have smartphones, which are phones with the capabilities of a PDA. So what can computers do? They can have data input into them. So that means we can enter data into the computer using various devices. For example, pointing devices, keyboards, microphones, and etc. And the next step is process. So that is when we enter raw data to the computer, and it processes into a meaningful information. So after that process is done, it will be output on output devices. For example, speakers, monitors, printers. So this is when the computer displays us the data that it has processed. So yeah, one more thing the computer can do is it can store data. Various types of store data. It has, it can store data. So, a processor or a microprocessor is a chip that has memory and other components built into it. It is nowadays most processors have two chips. They are referred as cores. That means it has actually two processors running the same task, so it will be faster. Okay, so types of input devices. The first and the most common one.
Input devices. The most common input device, as we all know, is the keyboard. The keyboard, the most common again, is a QWERTY keyboard. So there's advantages again. So you type in, you need to know your touch type system. You need to be able to look at the screen and type conveniently. That's the advantage of knowing how to tackle keyboards. But the disadvantage is you can't access the software icons using a keyboard. That's difficult. So there's an advantage and a disadvantage when using keyboards. So the other thing is input devices, pointing devices. Pointing devices, there's a mouse. So we have a joystick, we have a graphic tablet, a trackpad, and a games pad. The mouse is used to coordinate the movements, so you can see the cursor moving in your screen. So that's easy to click certain software icons and tackle with the software. The joystick is used to play a lot of games and move your icon on the screen. It can move to left, right directions. That's easy when you're doing a game, especially. And the games pad again, you have two simple joysticks and you can tackle it with your thumb. Trackpad, you can find a trackpad in every laptop. It's around 6 to 15 inches maximum. You can use a finger to control the cursor. So that's a trackpad. And the graphic tablet, it uses a stylus to draw your image in screen. This is used to draw some image in the paint especially. So you can produce a diagram that you draw in the graphic tablet and you can view it in your screen. So it's easier and more convenient than using a mouse to produce a document or image in paint. So advantages and disadvantages of pointing devices. So most of the people use pointing devices, they find it easier than using a keyboard to access icons. It's usually easy to access a lot of things, so most of the people prefer it over keyboards. The disadvantages are you need a graphical user interface when you're using pointing devices. The other thing is you can't enter or type things using a pointing device. Then we move on to scanners. There are three types of scanners: a handheld scanner, a sheet-fed scanner, and a flatbed scanner. A handheld scanner, it reads the image while you drag the image over it. And a sheet-fed scanner, you have to feed the image through the rollers and then it scans while it's being fed in. And a flatbed scanner, you keep the image over the flatbed and it takes the image as a photocopy. So another one is a barcode scanner. It doesn't do much of convenience and help like the other three scanners, but it's used for one specific function, that is in a supermarket, just to get your information from the price and everything about the product. You use a barcode scanner to get the ISBN number. No. The advantages of scanners is you can transform the paper printed information into an electronic form, so you can transform and send all the information to computers. Disadvantages are the accuracy of the data is unlikely to be verified. So when you come to including data, there's a big number of them. There's OCR, OMR, and MICR. OCR is optical character recognition, OMR is optical mark recognition, and MICR is magnetic ink character recognition. Optical mark character recognition is, it recognizes the pencil marks on your paper because it is darker than the unmarked area.
Manoj, OCR, and OMR,
OCR, OMR, MICR is like, first it's OCR is optical character recognition, and it's secondly optical mark recognition. Then it's magnetic ink character recognition. So OCR is identification of printed or text characters by computer. It's mainly scanned to recognize the characters in it, and so it can be used to be read handwriting mainly. And the advantages of OCR is that it can be converted to electronic form and be edited. So this mainly is useful for creating electronic versions. Before the computers were available. And the disadvantages of optical character recognition is that it's not always accurate, and the electronic text has to be checked carefully. Yeah, then the secondly, optical mark recognition. Yeah, it's a technology used to interpret pencil marks on a piece of paper mainly. It can recognize the portion of marks set on a paper because the mark is darker than the unmarked area. And the advantages of optical mark recognition. There's no requirement on typing the information and in a paper form, because on this it's fast and it's less expensive. And the person who feeds this is responsible for the accuracy or the information which contains the information on it. And the disadvantages of optical mark recognition: it should be printed accurately. And this printing would cost more than the rest. So the verification checks inputs are likely to be carried out. So the mistakes and the data are less likely to be detected. And the last thing, magnetic ink character recognition. It identifies the data printed using a special magnetic ink. It depends on the magnet's behavior of thing, which is activated by the magnet field, which also can be detected by a MICR reader. So especially these shaped magnetic ink characters are used to speed up the recognition. Yeah. So the advantages of MICR is that these forms can be pre-printed and can be read by a computer, and so this saves more time and all the data have to be typed in a keyboard, the data which you're typing. And the disadvantages are it's as OMR it's a bit expensive, and the character printed in ordinary ink they are not detected.
Magnet striped cards, most of us have not seen because they're like small credit cards. As the example in the book gives, they're used to control access into buildings. And disadvantages of this are normally because most of us are too lazy to type it into card readers. Okay, it is used as a form of identification, and data can be recorded into it. Two cards, you get striped cards and you get smart cards. These two are similar, but smart cards have a chip built into it, and very useful. Though this is now they use it for credit cards and everything, but they have a pin to access the information on it. And that's why in most of the supermarkets when you use a chip card, there is a window on the side of the device that helps other people not to look at it. And only thing is these two, as good as they are, they can be hacked and information can be stolen, and that is dangerous because these two can hold information to your bank accounts and everything. And very easy to update this information onto the computer because both of them have information stored in electronic form. And yeah.
They are small. This you can they are light, easy, and the data can be recorded on the magnet strip in electronic form, and it can be input directly into the computer. So disadvantages, it can be affected by radiation. It can be copied and edited by hackers. So smart card, it's different because it's like a small SIM card in it. It's like that. So it's not like a tape. The advantages of it is same. It's light and it can be carried and it's easy to use, and it can the disadvantage also is same. It can be affected by radiation and can be copied or hacked. Now we move on to digital cameras, video cameras, and webcam. Digital cameras, it can display, it can input information and output. Pictures can be transferred from the camera to the computer where they can be edited and enhanced in graphic software or viewed on the screen. The picture made by a digital camera by a quantity of very small dots in different colors. There are different kinds of cameras. There is a zoom webcam. Webcam is also like camera. It will just it can record, can take pictures, and you can use it online like Skype. But there is a webcam. Photos and videos can be recorded in a digital forms that can be saved on a computer. And one more advantage, digital photos and videos can be sent by email. Disadvantage of webcam. High quality photos can be taken and very large files, and it can store more files. Users tend to have more photos and long videos, and this creates a need for more dynamic storage. Now we move on to biometric scans.
Which makes a personal identification based on a person's unique physical characteristics. Examples of biometric scanners can be hand geometry, iris and retinal scanners, fingerprint, and get a lot more. Biometric scanners can have its advantages as well as its disadvantages. Advantages are you don't have to remember to carry anything whenever you go to your workplace or anywhere. And because of this, because if you are using your unique identification, there would be less fraud happening because the person has to be present in order to clock in or clock out. The disadvantages are sometimes you find it difficult. You find it very. The permitted users will not be allowed inside the building, and the unauthorized people can get it. So there's always a disadvantage as well as a disadvantage when it comes to biometric scanners.
Does anyone of you know what are sensors?
No.
Varsha? What's a sensor?
Sensors it inputs data from the surroundings.
Yeah, that is correct. So basically what a sensor does is it inputs data on the environment and surroundings and puts it in a computer. So these National Geographic guys use it to record daily. So sensors have advantages and disadvantages. And sensors convert analog to digital. They use the analog to digital converter. Like they can convert analog to digital so you can access it in the computer. Sensors can be placed in dangerous locations where it's harmful for humans, so you use a sensor. There are disadvantages to sensors. They cannot interpret the data. Audio input devices and technologies. So there is a touch-tone telephone, a microphone, speech recognition, and natural language processing. So what's a touch-tone telephone? It's a telephone that beeps. What's a microphone? Microphones are used to record sounds and audio. Like when you want to make a video, like we're doing now, you use a microphone also, but we have a camera. So speech recognition, often used for voice command systems. Like if you go to big places, cities there also. And then like if there's a businessman, he also enters his office, so he clicks the button. He says, "It's me." They let him go. There was natural language processing. It's where a computer processes a sequence of instructions or data given in a natural language. So there are advantages and disadvantages of audio input. People speak to the computer and do not have to learn how to operate a keyboard or other input device. That's an advantage. And a disadvantage is that voice control is not entirely accurate because some people have different accents like Chinese people.
You want to explain about remote control? Does anybody know what is a remote control is? Okay. A remote control can operate by using a remote control headset. Example, televisions, DVD player, recorders, etc.
Advantages of remote controls. Less energy is needed, like when there is a obese person. Obese people, they are lazy to walk. I mean, no one does it, but still. So the remote is easily, you can easily control it, especially for them. And then a remote control, like when you're watching bad stuff, like adult movies. And
you really want to
when you're watching adult movies and then your parents suddenly come, the remote control is there.
Let's avoid the real life example.
Like it saved so much people's lives.
That's true.
Still advantage. The disadvantages are it's kind of fragile. Like when 3-year-old children watch Barney, they could drop it and break it. Fragile. It's not replaceable. The next topic is output devices. So output device is a device that's like used outside. It's a tangible. It's a tangible and it's a physical device. And the examples are monitors, printers, speakers, etc. So
monitors are also known as VDU, Visual Display Unit. They come in different style and quality levels. Screen color quality, resolution and clarity are just some of the features that affect how desirable a particular monitor is to you. Categories that cathode tube is the big olden days used monitors like you.
Okay, so the different types of monitors are the cathode tube monitors. Well, it's basically a very bulky, small version of the TV. It uses a lot of power and it's mostly bulky. And it's the most common. I think it was common when the book was printed. But now the most common is the LCD and LED monitors. The liquid crystal display, it has a liquid inside that helps to give a more natural color to the pictures and stuff like that. Then we have the touch screens. This touch screens has both input and output device, so that it doesn't fall into either of the categories. So basically the input part of it, you can input like could be used as a pointing device as well as typing, the output you can the displays can be used as a display. Then you have the multimedia projectors. Those they are used basically they are used to project something like image you see on a screen onto a wall or a screen, so that so that many you can have many people can see it. Yeah. They are used for presentations and usage entertainment systems. And they have interactive whiteboards. Yeah, they are have like you have seen the IT lab and IT lab and science lab. Science lab you get smartboards, you know, arts and that's basically. I used to go to school, but still.
Good morning, everyone. What are printers? Printers are like they make hard copies out of digital form papers. So there are like main two types of printers are impact printers and non-impact printers. Impact printers are, you know, they strike the ink on ribbons and that's used to make images on a paper. The non-impact printers, they use a non-striking method, and the examples for impact printers are examples for non-impact printers are laser printers and inkjet printers. So inkjet printer, it uses tiny dots which they spray on the paper to make patterns, and laser printers they make patterns on a drum and then they transfer that to a paper, and by heating process they finally, you know, they fuse the ink with the paper. So, you know, it's always hot when it comes out with the laser printer. These are usually fast and they are expensive also. So thermal printers, they use heated wires, they make dots on the surface of the paper, and there are two types of thermal printers. There are thermal dye transfer printers and thermal wax transfer printers. Okay, buffer and spooling. So what is buffer? Buffer is a small amount of memory inside for the computer. What that does is if there's a huge line of printouts to be printing, then it takes the ones which are in queue and it puts them in the buffer. So after one printer is completed, it takes the other one from the buffer for the printing. And if you have like many printers, and then if one printer is free, then the buffer sends the next printer to print on that printer. This process is known as spooling. So what's printer quality? Basically, printer quality is the number of dots per inch, and the higher the DPI, the better the picture. Then many printers use A4 sheets. Some of them have continuous paper, like for receipts and all those. And then photo printers, they print digital photographs specially. So they're used in studios. Then advantages of printers, you can view the printout without the need of a computer. And paper-based communication is still used in many organizations. Disadvantages are printing is slow and expensive, and paper is bulky and environmental destruction. And printing material is more difficult to access and distribute.
Plotter is drawing lines on a paper using different colored pens, and other plotters have the pen. In a flat pen plotter, the paper is held still while the pen is moving, while the others have a pen moving from left to right, while the paper goes forward and backwards. Advantages are much larger. The plotters are much larger and longer, have longer sheets. Longer sheets can be printed. And disadvantages of plotters are printing is very slow and it's more expensive than printers.
Next is multifunction printers. It's basically a printer that's a combination that's combined with a scanner and sometimes a fax machine. And the advantages of having multifunction printers is that it takes up less space on your desktop instead of having 3 different machines, and it's less expensive than buying all 3 of them. And the disadvantage is that if one fails, it affects the whole machine, as in the whole machine shuts down. Speakers are used to listen to this audio output of the computer. It can be used for like listening to music and stuff. And there are headphones. They are basically 2 small speakers that's built into a headset so that you can put it on and listen to music and use it for gaming and things. The advantages are that they allow you to use multimedia applications, as in you can watch videos and listen to music and everything. And the disadvantage is that if you're a person with bad hearing abilities, then it could be hard for you to use headphones and things. And a voice recognition system, it could be a little hard to set up.
Cards are it control the input and output of audio, and it can be used to build they may be built into the motherboard and specialized sound cards that plug into the motherboard. The features would be control devices, they control applications, computers, main events happen using control devices. The advantage would be enable computers to perform physical tasks, and the disadvantage would be perform physical operations when instructed by computers.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to explain about the difference between data and information. Data is information that is not processed, and it's just like raw food. Data is inputted into a computer, and the output is information. Information is known as meaningful data.
Processors. A processor is also known as a microprocessor. It is built into a microchip that has memory and other components built into it. The microchip itself is often referred to as the processor. If there is more than one processor built into the microchip, then the microchip is referred to as processor, and the processors built to it are referred to as the cores. The processor accepts input data. This is processed under the control of a stored computer program and produces the output. Computer being processed is loaded into the RAM. The program instructions are sent to the processor one at a time, and the processor carries out instructions.
Talk dirty to me. Talk dirty to me. Talk dirty to me. Talk dirty to me. Get jazzy on